So when you were at Cornell and you had the ability to really delve into the kind of research that you're most passionate about at that time, and I know it's changed, but at that point in your journey, what were you most passionate about studying?
Really the combination of metabolic biochemistry, signaling pathways, and cancer formation. So when you look at various signaling pathways of certain proteins and enzymes in our cells, uh, there's some causation and correlation factors when it comes to how cancer is developed, right? And so I was really interested in kind of those root causes, and I studied adenylyl cyclase, soluble adenylyl cyclase, and its role in metabolism.
Did you have a family connection to wanting to study?
I didn't. So interestingly enough, my mom's side of the family, they all struggle with heart disease. My dad's side of the family all struggles with diabetes, which is more on the metabolism side.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was really interested in, metabolic biochemistry and diabetes, but I actually didn't have any cancer in my family. But cancer, to me, the reason I studied cancer was, I remember my parents had an office in the house. I was like 12 years old. And this was back when Netscape was a thing where you can get on the internet and the phone line would go out. And I would research, pharmaceutical companies. And the one thing I learned was that, there's no cure for cancer.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much, opportunity here
to so much money being raised
to make progress here. But I wasn't thinking about money as a 12-year-old, right? And the other thing too was that, I looked at all the CEOs, Pfizer, Merck, et cetera. They were all white men with business degrees. And so I said to myself, okay, well, no one here actually has studied science and arguably understands the science, to the extent that, I do or they can. And so I was actually focused at that time on getting my PhD in pharmacology and going and eventually becoming a CEO of large pharma and building major therapeutics. That was the goal at the time.
That the people running the largest pharmaceutical companies in the world weren't necessarily scientists.
They weren't scientists. And the thing about it, to me, again, I thought that was normal, right? I was like, oh, everybody's researching what the gaps are. And that was a story I told myself. I said, okay, I'll know the science and then I can just learn the business.
And so from Cornell, then you went to MIT.
Yep.
And what was that experience like? We hear about MIT, we hear about Caltech, we hear about Stanford, we hear about these major institutions, these predominantly white institutions that are storied and produce maybe some of the smartest minds in the world. But you're, a 20-something, early 20-something.
So I left Cornell with my master's. I was the first person to pass my candidacy exam. But the big reality that I had was that I'm doing this for everybody else. I'm not doing this for Isa. And leaving Cornell was the first time in my life that I had done something against my parents' wishes. So it was actually kind of stepping into like who I wanted to be. And so I went to business school at MIT, but really focused on economics and financial engineering just because I'm a math person. And as a Black woman at MIT, I had actually one of the most awesome times.
Yes!
MIT is such a supportive institution. It is such an empowering institution. An exceptional amount of resources. I graduated over 10 years ago, and MIT my advisor still hit me up asking me, what do you need? Do you want to have your company offsite here? Here's some space. Or do you want this collaboration? Let's make a call to this professor.
So they're linking you with people now.
I was
10 years post-grad.
10 years post-grad. I was the youngest person on the executive alumni board ever appointed at that time. But I have such a great I have fond memories of MIT. MIT is one of my favorite places in the world.
I want that for every college student.
Yeah.
Or every, grad degree person.
People are generally surprised, but, I cannot say enough good things about the organization and the way that during my time at MIT, I went through a very insane tragedy with my dad passing away in a highway accident, and the way that MIT showed up for me when I was actually ready to just throw in the towel. That's something I will never forget until the day I die.
So what did they do?
So my parents sponsored a bus trip for kids to visit Hampton University every year, open house. And my dad was the president of the North Carolina Hampton Alumni Association. And this particular year, the bus ran off a straight road in Virginia, flipped over and ejected both my parents out the front window. And my dad didn't survive that. And as you can imagine, things like that just change your life. And I had left MIT because I had finished my credits early. So I started at JP Morgan early, but I was still technically on paper a student at MIT. So they got in touch with me. They heard about it and they would call me like every day, every other day, text me. They found out that I wasn't eating. I didn't eat for like weeks. They sent me food
My God.
to my parents' house
What?
in North Carolina.
That's the kind of support.
Beyond that, my tuition account ended up having like a $1,500, $2,000 balance on it. And you get this note saying that, hey, in order to be cleared for graduation, you got to pay this balance or you won't graduate.
Right.
And I was like, I don't care. I told them, I was like, I don't care.
Because your relationship with your dad was so strong and losing him felt like the end for you.
It was my dad dying. It was also my mom being thrown out the bus, losing all of her memory at that time.
My God.
Having to nurse her back to health. When I went back home to North Carolina, my mom, her memory was so gone, she couldn't tell you if her bank account was at SunTrust or Bank of America, or if her, energy bill was from Piedmont or Duke Energy. And so I had to piece together my mom's life while working at JP Morgan because I had to make money, right? In the top 10% of performers, and still having to grieve my dad and also having to hold my mom because my mom and my dad were together for 35 years. And then
This is all they knew.
you lose your partner. Like they've been together since they were 23.
Yeah.
And so I was overwhelmed. And I was like, if you guys want to keep my degree, whatever, you can keep it. And next thing you know, the balance was cleared. Somebody paid it. And I still don't know to this day who paid my balance. And then I didn't want to go to graduation, but it meant a lot to my mom. And I only went because my mom was like, okay, I want to see my child graduate from MIT. Going to MIT was my dad's dream. And the week before he died, I sent him my MIT transcript showing him that I had completed my entire degree, and he died a week later.
So we got to see it.
He got to see it. And so at MIT, also for graduation, if you don't pick up your cap and gown, you can't graduate. And you're the only one who could pick up your cap and gown. And I was like, I don't care.
Fine, send it to me.
I was like,
I don't need it.
I was like, don't. I was like, you can keep that cap and gown. It's ugly anyways. And
You're a mess.
And
I love you.
they were like, oh, you're exempt from that. We sent somebody to get your cap and gown. We have everything you need. And also you only have 4 tickets to the MIT graduation because, it's such a tight space. And they're like, you can have as many tickets as you need. What do you need?
I mean, the support from this organization is unreal.
It's unreal, but it's one of those
And
things
how many
where
students were graduating?
in my class, 400, but 5,000 from the institution.
See, and that's crazy.
5,000.
That out of 400, they made you feel like you were the only student graduating that year.
I will
You were that
never
special to them.
forget it. Never. MIT can have all my coins.